nauna pang umalis, Mr. Chair. Yun yung pinupunto ni Deputy Speaker Raymond Mendoza. Na hindi prioridad ng executive at ng administrasyon ang mga manggagawa. Pero yun yung Mr. Chair, nauna pang umuwi. DepEd Secretary. Mga tanong ng mga manggagawa, nakapatungkol sa DepEd . Also, Mr. Chair, let it be put on record na nauna ring umuwi. Ngayon lang nagpakita si Secretary Go. Ngayon lang nagpakita pero naunang umuwi. Lagi nga nating nakikita sa mga committee hearings, Mr. Chair, si Yusek Adriano. Dapat may promote na nga si Secretary Adriano, si Yusek Adriano. Ang punto lang dito, Mr. Chair, nag-prepare kami ng mga tanong na naka-address sa DepEd, sa economic managers, lalong-lalo na sa DepEd, dahil yan ang lead agency na nakatoka na magbigay ng mga rekomendasyon patungkol sa national economic policy natin. At wala sa current national economic policy, wala ni isang statement, Mr. Chair. Walang kahit anong policy recommendation, walang kahit anong policy statement, walang kahit anong intervention sa mga wage earners natin, particularly minimum wage and middle income earners. Pinagmamalaki ng executive at ng administrasyon, nagbibigay sila ng ayuda. Pero hindi lahat ay nabibigyan ng ayuda. Nagpapasalamat ang mga transportation workers na nabibigyan sila ng ayuda. Pero hindi lahat ng transportation workers nabibigyan ng ayuda. Pero anong tindig ng administrasyon sa mga manggagawang minimum wage earners at sa mga middle income earners? Naiwan sa kangkungan. Walang intervention ang gobyerno. Walang kahit anong pronouncement ang administrasyon. Natulungan man lang ang mga minimum wage earners. Malaking problema to, Mr. Chair. Dahil handa tayo, kahit abutin pa tayo ng madaling araw dito, okay lang sa amin. Nananawagan nga kami ng TUCP, magkaroon tayo ng emergency session . Para lang mapag-usapan yung sahod ng mga manggagawa. Tapos anong maabutan natin? Mga sekretary mismo na umuwi. Anong mensaheng pinaparating yan sa mga manggagawa? Na kahit nasa gitna tayo ng krisis, nasa gitna ng pagdurusa ang mga manggagawa at ordinaryong Pilipino, nasaan ang mga sekretary natin? Anong pronouncement ng gobyerno sa mga wage earners natin? Wala tayong marinig. And this is exactly the platform, Mr. Chair. Pasensyoso ang mga manggagawa. Maintindihin ang mga manggagawa. Nag-antay nga kami hanggang ganitong oras . Para lang makausap yung mga economic managers natin na alam ng labor movement na nangunguna rin na humaharang sa any wage increase. Economic managers ang pumatay sa legislated wage increase 200 pesos. At alam din ng labor movement na economic managers ang nasa likod ng hindi pag-usad ng National Minimum Wage Bill, House Bill number 8081, dito sa House of Representatives. We all know that. And this is the platform, the right platform, Mr. Chair, for us to talk with them and implore them. Now, sana man lang mapag-usapan natin yung sahod ng mga manggagawa. Sa Uplift Committee, walang dole. Nakailang committee hearings na, ang binabanggit palagi, puro ayuda. Pinagsisigawan na ng mga manggagawa, itaas nyo yung sahod. Bibigyan nyo yung mga manggagawa, 1,500 na ayuda. Anong klaseng pambabastos yan, Mr. Chair? Parang namamalimos yung mga manggagawa. 1,500, 3,000 pesos na ayuda. Magkano yan? Arawan. Kung bibigyan nyo ng ayuda mga manggagawa ng 1,500, ang kahulugan niyan, 50 pesos per day. Tanungin ko kahit sino. Dito, sa bulwagang ito, may mabubuhay ng 50 pesos kada araw? Sino bang pinaka-apektado? Sinasabi, Mr. Chair, ng Uplift Committee na priority yung mga pinaka-apektadong sektor ng ating lipunan. Ang mga minimum wage earners at middle income earners natin ang isa sa pinaka-apektadong sektor ng krisis na meron tayo ngayon, Mr. Chair. Sino ba ang mga sumasakay sa jeep, sa bus? Di ba mga minimum wage earners, mga middle income earners? Alam ba ng mga sekretarya natin? Ng mga minimum wage earners natin? Yung mga waiter, yung mga security guard, Yung mga pumapasok, mga nag-a-assist sa atin dito, mga minimum wage earners, pumapasok, nakamotor yang mga yan. Nagpapagas, nagpapakarga ng diesel, nagpapakarga ng gasolina. Yung 300 piso na mga minimum wage earners natin, dati kayang pumuno niyan ng motorsiklo. Ngayon, magkarga ka ng 300, maswerte ka na kung umabot ng kalahati. Alam ba yan ng Department ng DepDev? Alam ba yan ng DOF? Alam ba yan ng economic managers? Nabubuhay kayo lahat sa simulation nyo. Hindi nyo alam ang tunay na buhay at karanasan ng mga manggagawa at ordinaryong Pilipino. Yan ang pinupunto namin. Tapos anong sasabihin nyo? Gawin nating priority ang mga pinaka-apektadong sektor ng ating lipunan. Mga manggagawang wage earners yan. Yun ang pakiusap namin ng TUCP. Kausapin nyo man lang ang mga manggagawa. Kausapin nyo man lang kami, apektado rin kami. Pero walang kahit anong intervention. Sinong sasagot ngayon, Mr. Chair, sa tanong namin? Wala dito yung DepDev. Hindi man lang nagkaroon ng hiya na mag-iwan ng kahit na assistant dito, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Para masagot yung aming mga tanong. Wala na sasagot.
If I may, Kong Eli, no? They both secretaries have asked permission earlier this morning pa because they have an urgent meeting ongoing in the palace pagdating dun sa subsidy ng public utility vehicles. But in fairness to DepDev, with due respect, may iniwan sila ditong direktor at ito yung pinakamagaling daw nilang direktor.
Mr. Chair, naiintindihan namin merong importante na ginagawa yung mga kalihim natin. Pero hindi ba equally important din to?
Tama.
Di ho ba? O, ano ngayon ang sasagot? Ano ngayon ang mensahe sa mga manggagawa nito? Naghihiring tayo, wala dito yung mga pinakapinuno ng mga ahensya. O ano pag-uusapan natin? Di wala na, magkaantay na naman yung mga manggagawa. Mr. Chair, dahil kayo na pa nag-aantay, so baka po pwedeng tanungin natin DepDev, Mr. Chair. Baka meron pwedeng isagot yung DepDev dito sa mga katanungan natin, sa mga ni-raise natin. Numero 1, bakit walang kahit anong pronouncement ang gobyerno sa mga wage earners natin, particularly minimum wage and middle income earners?
Okay. Mr. Chair, if I may, Director Des Narvaez from DepDev. So first, Mr. Chair, I'd like to answer the question on why we don't have DOLE at the Uplift Committee. So we do recognize that DOLE, we are actually very few in the Uplift Committee, and we're focusing on the core agencies, core implementing agencies. But we do recognize that Uplift Committee is given the authority to form subgroups, subcommittees, and we are open. No, we are looking into inviting forming a committee, no, involving DOLE. In terms of measures for the labor sector, you're right, Mr. Chair. Currently, we are prioritizing, so the economic managers are prioritizing the severely affected sectors. And incidentally, many of them actually are also wage earners. In terms of other concrete measures, we are currently focusing on ensuring that we protect the job creation. As much as possible, we would want to minimize job losses, because as presented by the Secretary earlier, we do expect if the war lingers, no, it becomes protracted, we do expect some fallout also in the labor sector. And the priority now, apart from taking care of the severely affected sector, the priority is to precisely minimize job losses.
Mr. Chair, naiintindihan ko naman ho yung line of answer ng DepDev. Ang swerte ho ng mga malalaking negosyo, sa totoo lang, DepDev. Alam niyo kung bakit? Kasi kanina lang may meeting doon sa Palasyo with Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, yung mga kinatawan ng mga malalaking negosyante. Buti pa ho yun, may assurance kayo. Kasi ang pinupunto ho ng DepDev, Mr. Chair, kailangan daw proteksyonan yung job creation at hindi magdulot ng job losses sa ekonomiya natin. Ipinagpapalagay at ina-assume ho ng DepDev at ng economic managers natin na yung pag-uusap ng kahit anong taas sahod ay magdudulot ng karagdagang pagkawala ng sahod. Willing nga kaming debatihin kayo sa plenaryo tungkol dyan. Pero napakaswerte ho ng mga malalaking negosyante at mga oligarko, may tagapagtanggol sila, DepDev at mga economic managers natin. So, pwede ho bang makakuha tayo ng sagot sa DepDev at economic managers natin? Is it your policy position not to include wage earners in your policy recommendations?
Mr. Chair, if I may, as mentioned, it's not that we do not intend to include the labor sector. As mentioned, we are currently prioritizing the severely affected sectors, the
So,
transport, and
kailan nyo po
farmers.
iimbitahan? Kailan nyo po i-recommend man lang yung mga manggagawa na makausap? Hindi kami nakakausap. Hindi kami na-invite sa kahit anong usapan, yung mga manggagawa, wage earners.
Okay.
Baka natatakot pagalitan mo.
Mr. Chair, kahit
Uh,
gusto ko pong gawing light tong usapan natin, we are really offended kasi.
If I may, I think the relevance of the question pertains to okay naman na inaalagaan natin in terms of prioritization, pero wala tayong nadidinig tungkol sa mga near poor. So ang mga minimum wage workers kasi, ito yung isang hakbang na lang papunta na sa below the poverty line. Ito yung talagang nalalaglag, meaning in terms of economic standing, konting taas ng presyo ng bigas, konting presyo ng gasolina, laglag kagad dito below the poverty line. So, yun ang katanungan dito is ano ang hakbang na ginagawa natin relative to paano natin mabibigyan ng lunas ang pinagdadaanan ng mga ito para hindi sila malaglag doon sa poverty line.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we can only speak of, well, not exactly a subsidy, but could be a form of subsidy. The measures implemented by the Department of Agriculture to ensure that
Mr. Chair,
affordable commodity.
if I may interject, so is it
Go
correct?
ahead, go ahead.
Doon sa naririnig namin, mas pabor ang DepDev at economic managers na magbigay ng ayuda kaysa itaas ang sahod ng mga manggagawa?
If I may, Mr. Chair, it's the position of the economic managers to leave to the regional wage boards the matter of raising wages.
Ayan, sasagutin ko ho yung sinabi nyo, Director. Alam niyo ho ang posisyon ng mga regional wage boards at ng DOLE? Wala nga asahan na taas sahod sa Mayo 1. Ano po ang komento ng DepDev dito? Sabi nyo, ipagpapaubaya sa mga regional wage boards. Nagsalita regional wage boards, wala nga asahan na taas sahod. Ano pong posisyon ng gobyerno dito?
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I may, I will speak as a member of the wage board of the NCR. I am not aware of such statement. In fact, well, we will convene as scheduled by May.
Yusek Bitonyo ho ang nagsabi.
I see.
Hmm.
Okay, I have not heard of that, but
Gawa na ng FEG yun.
Ngayon po, aware na si Director. Di ho ba? Hindi, punto ko, aware, hindi ka aware, Director. Ngayon, aware ka na si Yusek Bitonyo, sinabi yun. So, ulitin ko ho, mas pabor ho ba ang economic manager sa pagbibigay ng ayuda kaysa itaas ang sahod ng mga manggagawa? It's a yes or no? Ano lang, question.
okay. Okay, if I may, the capacity of the economic manager is only with respect to providing subsidies. So we I
Ayun.
maintain that position that we leave
Ayun
it
po.
to the
Maraming salamat
regional
po,
wage board.
Director. At least nalaman ng mga manggagawa ngayon sa 5 milyong minimum wage earners who are watching and who will be watching this hearing, wala nga asahang taas sahod, banggit ng economic managers, mas ipapriority ang pagbibigay ng ayuda kaysa itaas ang sahod. Kung magkano ang ayuda, hindi natin alam. Pero ako na po nagsasabi sa inyo. Sa Mayo 1, asahan nyo, ang mga manggagawa, kikilo sa pinakamaraming bilang dahil po dyan sa binanggit nyo. Wala nga asahang taas sahod, bibigyan na lang ng ayuda. Panghuli na lang po, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pag-intindi.
Sinusuko ko yung oras ko sa iyo. Sige, para maitanong mo yung huling tanong.
So kung yun po ang policy pronouncement ng economic managers ho natin, tama ho ba na ang mga economic managers natin ay tutol sa hakbang? Kaya po tayo nag-uusap ng ganito kasi kailangan ho namin kumuha ng cue mula sa inyo. Ano ba ang gagawin namin sa Kongreso eh? Sa kasalukuyan ho, may mga naka-file na mga wage bills. Isa dito ang legislated wage increase, 200 pesos. Pinangungunahan ho ng ating Deputy Speaker, Raymond Mendoza. Isa rin ho naka-file sa atin ay yung House Bill number 8081 para naman sa mga manggagawa natin sa probinsya, maipantay na yung minimum wage, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So ano po ang policy position ng economic managers natin? Una, sa legislated wage increase, ngayong nasa krisis tayo. Pangalawa, sa pagbubuwag ng mga regional wage boards, ngayong nasa krisis tayo.
Sige po, pakisagot, Director.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. We will reiterate the position we submitted, I think, late last year, and that's in consonance with the position of the economic managers that we are in support of, strengthening the regional wage board instead of coming up with a legislated wage hike.
Okay po. Mr. Chair, maikling clarification na lang po.
Sige.
Mabilis na lang po to.
I-wrap up mo na yan. Sige.
Yusek Adriano, if I may ask po. Yusek Adriano, magkano po ang salary grade ng isang undersecretary sa DOF po?
Pakiulit yung tanong.
Magkano po ang salary grade ng undersecretary? Kayo po, Yusek.
28 ba?
Mr. Chair, I'm not actually familiar.
30? Ang USEC?
SG salary grade 30, Mr. Chair.
Okay po. Magkano po per month yun?
Okay, for salary grade 30, that is 218,237
218,000 po.
based on this
okay po.
table that we have.
Director,
tranche.
Director, magkano po salary grade nyo, Director?
26. if I'm
Magkano
not
po per
mistaken.
month yun?
That would be 137.
37.
Ayun po ang punto ko, Mr. Chair. Karamihan ho, ang mga opisyal ho natin, kumikita, sumasahod, 200, 300,000 kada buwan. Kaya hindi nila alam mabuhay gaya ng isang minimum wage earner, lalong-lalo sa panahon ngayon na may krisis tayo. At ang maririnig natin sa economic managers, bigyan na lang ng ayuda ang mga minimum wage earners kaysa itaas yung sahod nila. Ganyan ka-detached sa realidad ang mga economic managers natin. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat, Kong Eli. Siguro bago tayo lumipat is bigyan ko rin ng pagkakataon kasi itong mga grupo din na ito ay nakasama ko rin noon na nakipaglaban para maalis ang buwis sa lahat ng minimum wage workers sa ilalim ng train. May gusto magsalita? Director, ano bang kuha natin dyan sa usapin ng... sige, maraming salamat. Salamat, Ka Eli. Ngayon naman po, tatawagan natin mula sa Zoom. Nandyan po si Congresswoman Jamjam Baronda ng Lone District of the City of Iloilo. Kong Jamjam, buhay ka pa ba? Wala na po si Kong Jamjam Baronda. Kanina pa ho yan nag-aabang. Talagang nag-aabang siya. Mamaya ipapabasa ko na rin yung lahat ng mga nag-Zoom attendance sa atin. Ang susunod po natin mula sa minority ay tinatawagan natin sa Zoom din po ay si Ginoong Robert Nazal mula po sa Bagong Henerasyon Party List.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sige, malakas ang boses mo, Kong Robert. Go ahead.
Okay. Just to the DOF, Mr. Chair, ano po ba yung computation ng economic managers dun sa revenue forgone? If we suspend the excise tax and give VAT relief for at least 3, 6, or 12 months? Mr. Chair.
Ito, naglalabas na ng calculator. Go ahead, Yusek
Mr.
Adriano.
Chair, assuming full suspension of all excise taxes on petroleum products for 8 months, so basically until December, The net revenue impact is around 100 billion pesos.
100 billion pesos.
Yes po.
How about that's just for excise tax?
No po, it's net revenue impact that includes the additional VAT collection because of the higher prices of fuel, plus the losses from excise and the VAT on excise. So it's negative 100 billion pesos.
Million or billion?
Billion po.
Billion.
Billion.
100 billion for 8 months.
Yes po. If we
So if we that's including the yung what do you call this, yung tinaas po ng koleksyon galing sa VAT dahil tumaas yung presyo.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's already included there. That means the additional VAT collection cannot fully offset the excise tax losses if we fully suspend the excise taxes on fuel products. Now, if we include like a VAT suspension, so on top of the suspension of excise, if we suspend VAT on petroleum products, that will be around 210 billion for 8 months.
Including excise.
Yes, sir.
So 210 is for, if you suspend both excise and VAT, it's 210 billion, correct?
Yes, more or less, sir. Assuming 100 USD
To the
price
barrel.
per barrel.
Go ahead, Kong Robert.
So that's for 8 months. If we suspend it for 3 months, magkano?
O di divide mo by 8.
For 3 months, assuming again 100 USD price per barrel, that's again negative 38.1 billion pesos if full suspension of all excise taxes. I would have to compute if we include VAT.
Hindi po ba parang maliit lang 'yon, considering that right now there are already transport groups, yung mga jeepney po nagrereklamo sila. Ang kinikita na lang nila, they used to earn something like 500 pesos a day, 400 to 500 pesos on average. Now they're earning 90 pesos. Ano na lang ang kakainin nila? Kung wala tayong galaw na gagawin. Kung wala tayong anything na gagawin just to help them na kumita. Na magkaroon sila ng immediate relief. Meron na hong mga reports na mga private na sasakyan. Nakita ko po dun sa news na nagnanakaw po. Nagnanakaw dun ng fuel sa mga truck na nakaparada sa overnight sa kalye. Hindi po ba dapat meron tayong immediate action na gawin? Ano po ba yung iniisip natin na immediate action na plano nyo pong gawin?
Mr. Chair, for one, we have already recommended to the President with regards to the powers of the President to suspend or reduce excise taxes. Number two, I think DBN may discuss it further. We have already provided subsidies to the transport sector, which includes subsidies coming from the DOTR and subsidies coming from the DSWD.
Nakausap ko po yung si Secretary ng DOTR. Pero meron nga raw ibibigay na subsidy, but the subsidy I think only amounts to around 2.5 billion. And do you think that's enough? Given magkano po ilan na po ang, I think 40% or 50% of the transport sector is hindi na bumabiyahe. So if we're going to give 2.5 billion, ano ho mangyayari? Marami ho nagrereklamo na hindi sila nakakatanggap. I think we need to give importance to this. Kailangan po may immediate action tayo na gawin. Since there are already bills filed on the suspension, why aren't we considering just to subsidize the fuel? Hindi lang in the form of a subsidy, parang i-cap na ho natin. Why don't we just cap it? Yung fuel.
Yes, Yusek Adriano. What is the wisdom behind the decision?
Mr. Chair, with regards to if the question is why are we not suspending VAT on fuel as well? Why did we only ask for excise? One po is, as mentioned before, the VAT is relatively more complicated than excise. The VAT has input and output VAT. Now, in that scenario, if you exempt only the output, which is in
Ang sa
this
akin lang
case-
po, Mr. Chair, ang sa akin lang, Yusek, is we need to act immediately. Ngayon, if we are going to think about the complications, marami na hong magnanakaw ng tao, marami na nagwawala, marami na hong nagkakaroon ng problema, buhay na ho ang katapat. So ano po ang what I think we should act now. If we're going to decide, for example, not to suspend the VAT or not to suspend the excise tax, why don't we just set a cap on the fuel and then pay the importers? Since magkakaroon kayo ng windfall on the VAT at magdidesisyon kayo na hindi po natin isususpend, may kukolektahin ng gobyerno doon, mag-set na tayo ng fuel cap. Tapos bayaran na lang ng gobyerno yung mga players. Bakit po hindi natin gawin yun? What's taking us so long to decide?
Mr. Chair, we are considering all of these options, including targeted subsidies. But I cannot disclose anything yet. There will be probably some announcement coming from the President himself.
Do we take it to mean, Kong Robert, if with your indulgence, no? Do we take it to mean that, because we've been discussing this from kaninang umaga pa and in the past so many days, we've had hearings already with the Agri Committee, the Labor Committee since March. So do we take it to mean that since we're going to have more hearings next week, that all these proposals are in fact being seriously considered by the Uplift Committee? Can we get a categorical answer?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just as mentioned by you, Sec Carlo, we have the meeting with the President being the chair of the Uplift. So there will be the DPCC have made the recommendation and the President is already aware of the recommendation, and which is a matter of waiting for him to announce that decision. by the
Mr.
President.
Chair, may I ask
Go ahead, Robert.
Kailan po to? When is this going to happen? Kasi po, pinasa po natin yung sa excise tax. Ginawa pong priority bill yan. Pero nagdili-dali po tayo. Tapos in the end, ang decision pala is hindi rin pala natin isususpend. So, ano na po ang direksyon natin? I think we should at least give a direction on what's going to happen. For example, if we're not going to suspend the VAT and we're not going to suspend the excise tax, so ibig sabihin, meron tayong windfall on the VAT. Ang laki po na nagiging koleksyon natin. Pwede na natin right now i-implement kagad na mag-set na tayo ng cap sa sa fuel. Hindi po ba? What's taking us so long to decide? Ilang meetings pa ba ang kailangan nyo para
Madesisyonan.
madesisyonan at makita na mapigilan po yung paghihirap po ng ating mga kababayan?
Yusek?
Mr. Chair, with regards to, again, with the excise tax, the effectivity of the law is 15 days after the publication. In any case, we have already recommended to the President with regards to the excise tax or with regards to the suspension or reduction of excise tax on fuel. Now, with regards to the other intervention, as mentioned by Secretary Toledo, all of this have been discussed. We're just awaiting for the final pronouncement from the President.
Pero
Yusek?
maganda rin na ma-discuss dito, tulad ng sinasabi ni Kong Nazal, parang nalalaman din nyo at nadidinig din ninyo yung aming mga mungkahi, di ba? Kasi imbis na nagugulat na lang din kami, because I think you can also get some wisdom from district representatives and party list representatives, because after all, we do represent a set of individuals who are severely affected by this crisis.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
may I ask Yusek, ano po bang recommendation nyo with regards to the VAT?
Sa VAT.
Mr. Chair, we do not have an official position on that yet. We're studying that proposal.
If that's your position, then that means your position is not to recommend the suspension.
Parang ganun na nga. Because napakasimple ho nung ginawa natin today. Tinanong namin kung ilan ang magkano magiging epekto within 3 months. Napakaliit lang, parang 38, 75 billion. So why is there, what's taking us so long to decide? Simple arithmetic lang po.
Mr. Chair, when I mentioned the 38 billion, that's only for the suspension of excise taxes. That does not include, if ever, a suspension of VAT. So that 38 billion for 3 months is only for the suspension of excise taxes on all fuels.
Yun na nga, assuming my point is, ang dali hong mag-arrive at a number. Hindi ba? So what's taking us so long to give a recommendation?
Mr. Chair,
Kung
we
hindi,
have...
ang sabi nyo, hindi nyo pa napag-iisipan kung ano yung gagawin on the VAT. You have no recommendation on the VAT yet. So magkano ba ang computation nyo kung if for 3 months, if we will suspend the VAT, magkano mawawala?
Kasi
Mr.
kung
Chair,
210 divided by 8 ka lang naman, di ba? 210 ang sinabi mo kanina over an
Divided
8-month
by 8
period.
times 3.
Ilan ba yun?
Magkano ba? Kailangan mo malaman magkano.
yes, so more or less divided by 3. Mr. I'll just compute.
Divided by 8 times
That-
3.
That's roughly around 78 billion.
Oh,
Divided by
70.
78.
Oh, 78.
210 divided by 8 times 3 months.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So we're looking at 78.75 billion. Go ahead, Kong Robert.
So at 78.75 billion, ano pa po bang number ang hinahanap natin? So what's your recommendation? Is that a huge amount na for foregone revenue na hindi natin pwedeng pagdesisyonan na matulungan ma-relieve yung mga tao?
Mr.
Ang
Chair,
liit po niyan, ha?
for the VAT, the main consideration here for VAT is, will the consumers actually feel the impact of the decrease in prices because of the suspension of VAT? As mentioned earlier, VAT has an input and output.
Mr. Chair, for me, if we did it immediately, I'm sure naramdaman niya ng tao. But if we dilly-dally, hindi talaga mararamdaman niya. Kasi pataas na ng pataas eh. Hindi ba? And if that's the case na ayaw niyo pong tanggalin yung VAT, bakit nga hindi na lang natin i-offer yung fuel, yung mga players sa yung fuel importers na i-cap na nga natin at using the VAT and using our unused appropriation na noong 2024 po may unused appropriation tayo na 500 billion. Oh. Immediately, pwede natin i-cap yung fuel at 70 pesos. Bayaran natin sila. Hindi na since meron tayong unused appropriation. So we don't even need the VAT para doon. Para gawin po yun.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's our main consideration with regards to the suspension of VAT. Is it the most efficient policy or intervention in
Ang
decreasing the
ang
prices?
hinihingi lang natin, Mr. Chair, is immediate action. We cannot afford indecisiveness. We are already one of the highest in Asia. Na pagtaas ng fuel. I just came from Hong Kong. Less than 10% po yung tinaas ng fuel nila. Tayo, we're already more than double.
Mr. Chair, as you mentioned, there will be additional VAT collection because of the higher prices of fuel. And hence, the policy question now is, are we going to use those additional collection for targeted subsidies? And as
And that-
mentioned by Secretary Toledo, it's one of the recommendations that we're looking at, and there will be some announcement from the President soon.
Ano ang recommendation mo?
Can you at least tell us, Yusek? Maganda yung tanong ni Yusek Robert. Yusek, Kong Robert, your time has elapsed, but we will give you additional time, ha?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So because of the input and output, is it correct to say that in reality, even if you remove the VAT on the pump prices, it will not reflect a 12% reduction in the pump price. Correct or not?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Technically, if you compute the input and output, the VAT is around 5% of the price.
So in short, kung ito ay 100 pesos, dapat pag tinanggal 100 pesos halimbawa per liter ang diesel, pag tinanggal mo ang VAT, ang assumption namin dyan is magiging 88 pesos yan kasi tinanggal mo. Tapos tinanggal mo pa yung 6 pesos na excise, magiging 82. Di ba? Tama o mali?
Hindi po kasi po may input and output po ang VAT eh.
So magkano magiging effective kung halimbawa lang 100 pesos per liter
Net-
ang gasolina?
Typically, ang net effective VAT rate is around 4 to 5%. At ang isa pa nga pong problema dito is that if you exempt the gasoline, but there are some inputs of companies that are subject to VAT, like for instance, their trucks,
Transportation.
transportations, logistics, they cannot claim their input VAT from those items since walang output. So most likely, what they will do is they will increase the price so that mababawi nila yung input VAT losses nila.
Okay. Kong Robert, can you wrap up please?
Well, for me, Mr. Chair, Yusek, we're just complicating it too much. Ang sa akin, if we already moved to suspend the VAT, let's say ang net effect niya is 5%, that's still 5%. And meron pa rin epekto yun sa mga tao. If we suspended the excise tax and the VAT, so that's 11%. So may impact yun may immediate impact po yun sa tao right now. Ngayon, kung hindi nga natin, if we decided not to suspend both, anong recommendation nyo? What is our, saan po tayo papunta? Ano pong direksyon natin? Hindi ba pwedeng, may mga suggestions na nga po na to cap, hindi ba? To cap. At least, if we cap, meron ng expectation yung mga tao na, okay, if we cap it at 65 or 70 pesos, alam na nila kung saan tayo pupunta. Alam na nila na meron kayong direksyon. And they know what to expect. And at least, if we do that, and we use whatever the windfall, yung tax windfall natin sa VAT, if we use that for, pinatay na yata ako.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Kong Robert.
So, if we use that in order to pay the players para magawa po natin yung pag-cap nung at 70 pesos, at least we will be able to prevent yung lahat ng tumataas, lahat na nagiging problema ngayon. Tumataas na ang presyo ng bilihin, tumataas na ang presyo ng pagkain. Meron ng mga humihingi ng rent reduction, may mga humihingi na ng grace period, may mga logistics companies na nagtaas na talaga sila ng presyo. So at least meron po tayong direksyon and mapre-prevent po natin yung lahat ng nangyayaring ito because it's already a deck of cards eh. Sunod-sunod na po ito eh. And that's why we're asking for direction from you. So, saan po ba tayo papunta?
I think that's a rhetorical question already at this point, no? Thank you very much,
Mr.
Kong
Chair.
Robert, for your patience. He's been waiting since kanina pa sa Zoom. Salamat sa pag-aantay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Point very well taken. We now proceed to our second round. We don't have dinner, guys, huh? So we are doing austerity measures here. So who among the three of you wants to start? Huh? Or we'll start with the oldest. So, but before we call on Congressman Tino, I want to just advise, our cabinet secretaries, our USECs, and our directors, our government national treasurer. These are the most brilliant minds that you can find working in government. And if you ask me, 300,000 is really peanuts for the amount of stress and the amount of work that we put into our job. I've always said that our cabinet secretaries deserves to earn at least 1 million pesos because it is the work that is being done is more than the stress of any top 100 CEO company. And the limits as well as the accountabilities that you all face. In a company, you make a mistake, you get fired. Here, you make a mistake, even if you did not make money, you go to jail. And it's a very difficult job. And frankly, I think it's very unfair if we are simply equated to hundreds of thousands of pesos because I know for a fact that many of you, most of you here at least, are career individuals who have just come to work because you've come to love the job. You like your workmates, you like the work routine, you like the pencil pushing. You could be going somewhere else, but frankly, if you ask me, the top tier executive officials deserve a higher income. If you want monkeys to run our government, you pay them peanuts. But if you want brilliant individuals to run it as you expect, you have to pay them enough salaries to stay in government. So I just want to stress that. Go ahead, Congressman Tino.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, ang tanong ko dapat sa DBM, pero dahil sa discussion on, yung pagtanggal ng excise tax, at saka yung impact ng VAT and so on, kailangan magtanong din ako sa DOF. So again, ang sabi po kanina, magkano yung impact again ng pagtanggal ng excise tax? Is it 100 billion for 8 months? Ganun ba yun?
Mr. Chair, for 8 months, net revenue impact is 100 billion.
Okay, 100 billion.
Negative.
Pero again, Mr. Chair, narinig ko ang qualification nyo that is for all, could you clarify?
It's full suspension of all excise taxes on petroleum products.
All excise taxes on fuel products. No? So, pag sinabi pong all fuel products, hindi na lang po ito yung pinag-uusapan natin ngayon at yung concern mainly ng publiko which is gasoline, diesel, kerosene, LPG. Tama po ba? Yusek,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
ano pa ang
But
kasama?
the majority po talaga is the diesel, gasoline in
No,
terms of...
we understand that. Pero para maging eksakto tayo, hindi po ba kasama rin kasi dyan lubricating oils and greases, processed gas, waxes and petrolatum, denatured alcohol, asphalt, naphtha, among others. In other words, for the manufacturing sector. Tama po.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, ang punto po natin, Mr. Chair, una, pinalalaki na, hindi eksakto at pinalalaki nyo yung impact sa inyong computation. In fact, it is less than 100 billion. Tama po ba?
Mr. Chair, if it's full suspension of excise taxes on diesel, gasoline, LPG, and kerosene for 8 months, that's 80 billion pesos.
Okay, 80 So it's a difference of 20 billion. Pero ang lagi nyong pinangangalandakan ay ganito ang impact, no? So kailangan mag-ingat tayo, etc., etc. So yun yung una, hindi tapat. Pangalawa, sa usapin naman ng VAT, narinig ko kanina, pinag-iisipan nila kasi daw ang effective impact ng VAT sa price is something, sabi nyo, 5%? Parang ganon?
Typical commodity net effective VAT rate is only 4
Net
to
effective
5%.
VAT rate. Okay, yan ang sinasabi ng DOF. But I have here yung information published by the DOE on its website. Ito yung parang breakdown nila ng cost. Yung mga components nung essentially pump price to. So for example, DOE website, gasoline, March 11 to 17, price per liter, 54.60. Tapos may breakdown yan. Import cost is 48%. Biofuel is 10%. Industry take, ito yung controversial, no, is 13%. And Then it says here, taxes 29%. So ayon sa DOE, no, ay 29% daw yung taxes. At pag sinabing taxes dyan, ang intindi natin, that's mainly excise tax and VAT. So bakit, kaya nga po, para sa amin, malaking bagay kung tanggalin nyo yung dalawang yan. That is up to almost 30% reduction in the pump price. Ito ang inuulat ng DOE. Ngayon sinasabi nyo, hindi naman yan. Bakit ganon? Ano pong paliwanag nyo ron? O, ibig ba sabihin, hindi tama itong nire-report ng DOE and therefore, the tax component is not really 29%? If so, then, saan napupunta yun?
Pwede, pwede bang itanong natin sa DOE? I-reconcile natin yung figure na yun because after all, the report comes from you. So we can reconcile it. What does the 29% tax incidence on the computation, what does that refer to?
Mr. Chair, we have to confirm the date, but for now na lang.
February
for last week na lang.
11, Kong Tonchi?
But
Well,
what
I
I-
just randomly read March
Well, this is-
11 to
I'm sure it's not
17.
going to be
But
far.
what I brought now is the last week.
O sige po.
Ang last week ko, if you look at the price of the lowest range at 125 pesos for diesel, the tax there would be excise fixed at 6 pesos. And the value-added tax is estimated at around 13.39 pesos. That's the lowest end. On the highest end, because it's a range, again, at the pump price of around 164.70, kanina na-mention, mga 165, ang excise tax would be 6 pesos fixed, but the excise tax, but the value-added tax is much higher because of much higher pump price at 17.65 pesos.
So, anong percentage po nun sa total price?
Doon sa lower end, that will be, the combination of the two taxes will be around 16% of the pump price of the 125. And the highest range would be 164.70 pump price. That will be around 15%.
So, it's at least 3 times what the DOF was saying. Yung mga binabasa ko po, kasi ito, this is supposedly March 11 to 17, no, na presyo. Bakit po ganun? Sabi nila 15% ang impact. That is still a significantly bigger impact on price than what the DOF claims na 5% lang daw.
Yusek, can you reconcile that figure?
Mr. Chair, if I may clarify, so I think the figures of the DOE is on the retail pump lang. Yun yung prices sa retail pump. But remember, there are certain stream. So meron kang importer, meron kang logistics or midstream, and then the downstream. So for each stream, there is VAT. And then for each stream, they can claim an input VAT on their output VAT. Yun po yung sinasabi namin na net effective VAT rate. So sa collections po, for instance, ni BOC, ni BIR, yung output VAT collection, ma-minus nila yung input VAT. Kasi kiniklaim po yun ng business yun. So yung sinasabi po lang po ni DOE is on the retail pump, yun po yung impact. Pero sa claim po ng mga businesses, they actually claim input VAT. So for each chain po, may VAT po siya, and then each chain in the segment can claim input VAT except yung final consumers.
Okay. Okay. O sige, Mr. Chair, yun
But
yung...
it's still a significant figure. I have to say, even
oo.
16%,
Exactly.
or even at, let's just say 5% as claimed, as computed rather, and plus the almost 3% equivalent to the 6 pesos, it's still almost a 10% amount.
Yes. Okay, so yun lang yung isang punto po natin, no? Parang hindi magkatugma yung nire-report ng DOF at saka ng DOE at saka yung expectation ng public. Ang expectation ng public, pagka, for example, if sinuspend ng excise ang VAT, di mawawala yung nakalagay na 12% doon sa resibo nila. Hindi ba yun ang intindi ng publiko, no? Bakit hindi po mangyayari yon? O baka pwedeng ipaliwanag nyo.
Mr. Chair, again, if I may clarify, so for instance, in a scenario wherein we suspend VAT only on gasoline. So yung gasoline po, na output nila walang VAT. But before ka makuha ng gasoline o ma-deliver mo yan gasoline to the retail pump stations, you need trucks, you need other inputs. And these other inputs are subject to 12% VAT. Now, if your output na gasoline is exempt, you cannot claim your input VAT. Kailangan po kasi may output VAT para ma-minus mo yung input VAT mo. So that means kapag exempt yung gasoline, input VAT mo naipit on other inputs, what businesses do, ipapatong nila yun sa presyo ng produkto nila. Para yung mga hindi nila na-claim na input VAT, babawiin lang nila doon sa pagtaas ng presyo.
Okay. So, thank you for that explanation. Move on. Let me move on to the budget.
Please proceed.
Okay. Well, bago muna sa budget, DOF pa rin. Kanina, Congressman Romulo raised an important point regarding education, yung magiging impact, particularly sa basic education. Ayaw na natin na bumalik sa hybrid or distance, etc. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa nakaka-recover, lalo na ang basic education from the learning loss due to the hybrid, the widespread, the universal adoption of hybrid learning. No? Ngayon, meron po kayong, sa presentation nyo, meron kayong binanggit doon na isa sa mga plano ba yan or action points is some sort of subsidy for transportation for education for presumably students, parang ganon. Parang nakita ko po sa presentation kanina.
Mr. Chair, it's not DOF presentation, but maybe with DepDev.
Sorry, DepDev pala. Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the idea in the framework is it's a plan if the crisis continues, lingers, such that we reach the point of fuel rationing. So the idea is we prioritize the health, education, and another sector such that we don't disrupt their education. So they're the priority, meaning if we reach that level that we have to ration, they are the priority. We will give the fuel to buses, school buses.
Okay. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. At well, at least merong ganung pinag-uusapan na sa level ng DepDev. Okay. Sorry. Follow up ko po. Ito naman, kanina po ay ito na lang po para mabilis. Dalawang tanong. Kanina may maganda po yung tinatanong ni Committee on Appropriations Chair Mika Swansing kaugnay sa RCEP, no? At saka yung excess tariff collections due to the rice tarification law na umaabot ng up to something like almost 50 billion or more. Parang ganun po yata yung total. Tama po ba yung dinig ko? From 2019 to 2024 ay umaabot sa
The
Yes,
mahigit
Agri
50
Chair.
billion.
Yes, the Honorable-
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just to answer the query of the Honorable Tonchi Tino. Nag-reconcile kanina with si Treasurer Sharon,
Mhm.
our National Treasurer.
Okay.
So, lumalabas, we earmarked yung 2019, 2021 up to 2024. So, naka-earmark na siya. So, ang available na lang is yung 24 billion na tariff collections for 2024 to be used for 2025. So, yun ang remaining na
Okay.
hinahabol natin.
So meron pang
May 24 billion.
24 billion na hindi pa po hindi pa po,
Ye-
nandyan pa ang
Nandiyan
pondo.
pa. Oo. So,
Ang
thank you
gusto
very
ko
much.
lang pong mailinaw ay nandyan pa ang pondo Kasi nung narinig kong excess revenue, naisip ko na kagad, unprogrammed appropriations. O, ginamit ba ito for unprogrammed appropriations? Can we get a categorical response from DBM on that? Hindi makasagot si ano ah. So dun sa 50 billion na yon ay meron bang portion na ginamit for to fund the unprogrammed appropriations of 2023-2024, if not 2025?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
it was never used as certified by the Bureau of the Treasury. So hindi po siya ginamit po for the unprogrammed appropriations.
Okay.
Walang anumang halaga doon sa excess tariff collections na ginamit for unprogrammed appropriations.
Yes, wala po, walang
Oh.
po. Walang ginamit po.
Okay.
And it
Go
was
ahead, go
certified as excess revenue.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Ito na lang po, last question natin.
Kong Tonchi, last na please.
Opo,
Go
last
ahead.
na po. Kanina, pinag-uusapan, yes, ayuda para sa pinakamahirap sa panahon ng krisis. Paano naman yung lower and middle income earners? Let me speak specifically